virus time. And I know the salons and stuff in Texas are opening back up, but I'm not about to risk it. So I'm about to be looking a hot mess for a little bit longer. For today, you gonna get these braids. So another week, another couple of classes under my belt. My little paper, I don't know if you remember it, bam, from like the first video, whatever, is getting filled up, and I have another class on Wednesday. So it's blowing right through. It's almost time for my first home visit. I still have not got a lockbox. I still don't have a fire extinguisher. I still need to add some things to the house, but that'll be too easy. I'll take care of that soon enough.
This is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently.
I'll just have to make a list so I won't forget while I'm out shopping and stuff. So in class this past week, we learned about separation. So in Benchmark Family Services right now, there's like a family of 7. My class leader, I guess, service, I don't know what to call them. She was saying there's a family of 7, and basically because of how the housing is, they're gonna have to be separated because boys and girls under the age of 6 can share a room, but if you're over the age of 6, you have to be divided by the sexes, whether you're brother, sister, or whatever. A baby can stay in the adult foster parents' room until they hit 3, and then they have to go into a big kids room, basically. 2 kids can share an 8x10 room, which is like a basic guest room size. You can't put more than 2 kids in there unless you move up the room size. So if you have like a master bedroom, you can probably put 4 kids in there. But who's really giving up their master bedroom in their house so they can house 4 kids in there and then 2 kids in the guest room? Hopefully the families, ages and sexes make it in such a way that they can all stay together. Like, it's just really hard. It was a heartbreaking story. And I didn't even know the kids, know what they look like, know their ages or anything. It was just like, man, you already left your house and now to be separated from your brothers and sisters. And we watched the video on something like that where this girl was with her brother in foster care, and they basically came and a family adopted the brother and left her there. And because I guess to the adoptive family, they wanted a little kid, and she was like a preteen in the video. So they left her there. She was really stressed out because there was nothing she could control. She started acting out, of course, because when you can't control stuff, you start trying to control other things or just lashing out. She ended up getting put on medicine to control her anger outburst. And my class leader was basically telling me in the beginning, they're telling the girl, like, calm down, you'll see your brother all the time, like, we'll bring him back to visit you. But over time, that kind of stops. So it's basically like prolonging her pain in a kind of way, instead of just being straightforward with her and being like, hey, your brother's about to leave, because they took the brother while she was at school. Instead of being straightforward and being like, hey, your brother's about to leave, we're gonna try to keep you guys as close as possible with these visits or whatever, because she's a kid, but you can still try to explain stuff instead of just leaving it up in the air. Maybe that would have helped her a little bit in that scenario. But that's what we learned about family dynamics, connecting to kids who are gonna be in your care, how long you should give them to connect, the honeymoon period when they come into your house. So the way it was explained to me is like, kids gonna come into your house, you need to sit down and establish your rules, basic rules of your house. Like, hey, around here, we turn out the lights when we're not in the room. Hey, around here, we do the dishes before we go to sleep. Whatever it is that your household does. Around here, we don't touch the thermostat, whatever it is. And then you have the kids make a couple of their own rules that you may be able to implement. Nothing crazy, I guess, like if the kid wants you to knock before entering the room or something like that could be easily implemented. Unless you're one of those parents who's like, I don't knock around nowhere. I pay the bills here. I open up whatever doors I want.
Oh, what the f is you doing?
In which case, I don't know, you come up with your own rules. Anyway, So we talked about establishing rules and then how long it should take a kid to settle into your house. The lady in the class with me said 6 months. I was like, 6 months? I'm gonna need you 6 months for us to be adjusted to each other, maybe like knowing each other's schedule, comfortable around each other. But the first month, you should be knowing the rules. Within the first month, you should be trying to settle, I feel. Of course, I'm basing this off of just like me coming into a new situation. Like the first month is kind of up in the air. You're talking to people, you're trying to figure things out, get your pattern right, learn how the other people are. And then after that, it's like, okay, start figuring things out a little bit more, but you're more comfortable. But 6 months, we should have stuff figured out. We should be on another level. Like maybe the level of you trying me and me correcting you. Or maybe the level of us bonding a little bit more, doing outings, something like that. We shouldn't be in the like getting to know you stage or these are the rules stage. You should know the rules by 6 months. We talked about how to connect with kids, finding out where they came from, what they like, how they want to be calmed down when they're stressed out, how their mom used to calm them or their grandma, or if anybody ever calmed them, like how that went, how they like to be touched and stuff like that. We talked about trauma. We talked about being mindful of their past experiences, just being empathetic in general. Like that whole class was on being empathetic and creating a safe, nurturing environment for the kids when they come in. You don't want them to come into chaos because they basically just left chaos. And she was saying that separation is hard enough without foster parents making it difficult. Our job as foster parents is basically just to model the behavior that we want the kid to implement and to listen to them and then just teach them different. We also talked about teaching kids through play, gentle touches, and then holds. So if a kid is just basically like spazzing out, about to hurt somebody or themselves, you're supposed to do a hold. Less than 60 seconds preferably, because if it's over 60 seconds, you have to do a report. Like under 60 seconds, you fill out like in your weekly report, you just fill out like, oh, I had to hold such and such, just so they can monitor the behaviors. And over 60 seconds, you have to, that day, within 24 hours, fill out, I think she called it like a hold report. Incident report is under 60 seconds. Restraint report is over 60 seconds. And then they taught us how to like restrain if they're trying to choke you, if a kid's trying to bite you, if a kid is pulling your hair, all these different things. They told us how to get out of it. She also said, to be fair, if you think you're about to get hurt, do not try to put that child in a hold. Or if you think you don't know how to do it correctly and you might hurt the child, don't try to put them in a hold. If they say they can't breathe, let them out of the hold. It was like a whole bunch of stipulations that come with holds. So if you feel like you can't take it, just call the police. And I don't know, I feel like calling the police is a bit extreme, but also I've never been a foster parent. I've only known like what happens in like households where the parent is judge and jury. So you about to get whopped, you about to get bopped. Something's gonna happen to you before the police comes. In the households I've been in, those were just basic parent households. And I realized I can't do that as a foster parent. Very aware. Not trying to go to jail at all. Y'all, I made iced coffee because it's getting hot in Texas. I'm not an iced coffee drinker. I'm a coffee drinker. Like any decent regular soldier out there in the world. You know, I drink my coffee black and hot. No sugar, no creamer. But it's hot in Texas, so I decided to make iced coffee, and my dumb behind put ice cubes in it along with my almond milk. The ice cubes melted, and now it's all watered down and not the best. But tomorrow, when I make iced coffee, I will have frozen almond milk cubes to put in here because I'm a thinker. Anyway, I was talking to my mom about my foster care classes. I'll have to do another video on how my non-immediate family feels about me fostering, because that's a whole nother thing. So she was like, what age are you gonna get? Because I feel like my mom, God bless her, is like not quite on board with the fostering thing yet. She's kind of like, you know, double dutching around the edges, like, what's happening here? I don't like it. Maybe I do. I don't know. So she's kind of like, what are you doing? Like, are you gonna have your own biological kids? And when's that gonna happen? And what does John think about this? Oh, he's on board too. Well, Lord help me. Okay. He was just like, what age do you want? Because I could tell, like, I just pictured her picturing me getting like, you know, like bodied by like some 14-year-old, 15-year-old boy or something like that. I was like, you know, around like 2 to 7. So yeah, I told her that. She was visibly, well, not visibly because I couldn't see her, we were on the phone, but I could hear the relief in her voice, like, oh, thank God. That's the age that I've actually had experience with. I never really like mingled with, talked to, hung out with preteens or teenagers until I met John's daughters. And I mean, they're easy. They're the epitome of what a preteen and teenager is like, and sign me up. John, on the other hand, I mean, we're both kind of flexible with any age range. We're just gonna pray on it and see what the Lord kind of puts on our hearts, I guess, or puts on our path. I know he's gonna get a family because he was told to keep families together, and the way his house is set up, he could house a family in our Kansas house anyway. Kansas has, I'm not sure if their rules are different, but I believe as long as they're blood related, they can share a room. So he could probably house a family of like 3 kids or 2 kids or something like that. And for me, because I've never actually had a child to take care of, like none of my close friends have children. My sisters don't have kids, so I'm not an auntie or anything. Like, I've never had to take a kid to school, take a kid to a doctor appointment, pick a kid up from daycare, any of that, I've never had to do. So he was like, you start with 1. And I was like, okay. Sounds simple enough to me. We'll see. All right, I'm about to get in the car. Peace. Talk to you guys next time.
1 and 1 is 2. 2 is me and you. 2 plus 1 is 3.